Hey guys, welcome back to Undulations. I'm Dr. Nim. So, this is the second of my two-part video series on the core Volca kick. In the first video, I went over some of the more basic things that you can do with the kick, like make kick drum sounds and sequencing and touch effects. That's all very fun, very interesting. If you missed it, make sure to check for the link below. Go take a look at that. But in this video, I want to look at some of the more esoteric sorts of things that you can do with the kick. Things along the lines of sound design, soundscape design, and I think you'll find that it's very interesting. So, let's dive in. Let's leave the vocal beats behind and try and think about the kick as a standalone drum machine. Can that even be done? And I'll do a thing here. Think of it as an experiment. If I have a pattern that's just very basic, is there any way to try and turn that into a two-voice pattern? You can just pick a couple of knobs, the pitch, okay, and then also the decay. Doesn't sound good, but it is suggestive because we can do two parameters by hand, but we can do all the parameters by MIDI. And so let's go to the computer. Here's the plan. We're going to use this MIDI controller, the Arturia key step. And we're just going to use a few keys. We're going to have a hi-hat key and a snare key and a kick key. And we're going to send that data to the computer, and we're going to use a little bit of code to handle what goes on there, then send some CC signals back out down the USB cable to this MIDI 2x2 box, then out the 5-pin MIDI cable and into the Volca kick. And so it's sort of a relay where that we are going to send data from the Arturia over to the kick, and to take care of the code in between, we are going to use the programming language processing. So this is the integrated development environment for the language processing, and it's normally used for graphics, but it also has some audio capabilities, and I'm going to be using the MIDI bus library. And all I'm going to do is catch notes coming from the key step, the MIDI controller, and if they are the right notes, I'm going to send out a big set of CC values as well as a note to the Volca kick. So that part is for the kick drum right there. Then there's a snare part and also CC values for a hi-hat. And you could extend this to more drums, more types of percussion. So what does this sound like? We've got processing running. It's just sort of looping here, and then we go from the key step over to the kick, and it sounds like, and you can start to develop some rhythms. And this is the point where motion sequencing, you have to understand that you have to do it all in one go, where that you record the entire sequence just across the 16 trigs, and that's it. That's sort of a limitation, but the advantage is that once you get all that recorded, you can get rid of the key step, you can get rid of the computer, and you're just left with the kick itself. And all of the work that was done gets saved in the memory slots. So let's hear some examples. Okay, here's a block of 4 patterns made using the code-based MIDI control chains method that I just outlined. First with no effects, and then with various effects applied. Each of these sequencer patterns employs the same basic kick drum, snare, and hi-hat sounds that I coded, but you could certainly add more drum voices in the same way. You could also use a different set of drum voices for each of the different sequencer patterns. Combine this with the built-in touch effects, and you can get a lot of rhythmic and tonal variety. So you can pair the kick with an effects pedal or some other device. But I'd really like to explore and show you some of the things that this Volca can do all on its own. To start with, I've zeroed a lot of settings except for the drive and the tone. You can hear that still, and I'm going to throw in some default triggers and start the sequence going so that we can hear it continually. And if I change the pitch knob, you can certainly hear that that sound is coming from the MS-20 resonator. Now, it's kind of counterintuitive, but if you turn the bend all the way up to max, time all the way up to max, you can make it kind of go out of hearing range, ultrasonic. I've more or less muted the main sound generation on the kick, and that leaves us with the pulse setting. I'm going to turn that up, and with the color, brighten it a little. Typical Volca max tempo would be 240 BPM, but you can go in the settings and increase that to 600 BPM, which turns out to be about 40 Hertz. The color can be used to modulate this sound. And then the touch effects can be used to come up by an octave. Tempo can be used as a pitch control. And you can even go up another octave. We have a simple tone, and at this point we should introduce motion sequencing to make it more complex. First, I'm going to turn the tempo way down so that we can record. Then, I'm going to turn on motion sequencing. Hit record, turn the color knob up some, then back down some. And that was it. We captured that. Now I turn the tempo back up. Hear that other modulation on top of the pulse tone. We can go to touch effects, and you'll learn from this that you can, by going to the rolls, you increase the pulse frequency, but it doesn't change the timing of the motion sequencing. Now, what if we don't suppress the main source of tone generation? If you think about things like granular synthesis or wavetable synthesis, kind of putting things back to back, making a wave train, you've got the tempo-based frequency, but then you've also got the resonator frequency, and you can get some nice beats, thrumming sounds that I like quite a bit. Then of course you can still take that up to higher frequencies.
still by using the octave up and the 2 octave up buttons. Those wouldn't work with the pulse, but they certainly work with this. I should also point out that the kick is really nice for making sound effects, especially with the bend and time parameters. If you've ever played Missile Command by Atari from the 1970s, that is the sound of a smart bomb coming in. You can make lots of different sounds, unique sounds on the kick, and then take them into sampler or computer or cassettes or whatever your choice is. So the bend reverse gives a nice bubbly sound. Which I think is really pretty. And then I'm going to clear out the bend reverse, and we'll just take the tempo up, and you'll see that the bend has a lot of different ways that it can impact sounds. It's worth pointing out that when you expand the tempo range on a Volca, it not only allows you to have access to higher tempos, but also lower ones down to 10 beats per minute. In the process of exploring this, I started to jump back and forth between relatively slow tempos and quite fast tempos. Then I started looking at sustain notes and motion sequencing, and so this is the sort of thing that I came up with. So that concludes my second video on the Chord Volca kick. If you liked it, found it interesting, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button. In upcoming videos, I'm going to show you things like how you can use Little Bits technology to enhance the sounds that you get out of an analog synthesizer, the Arturia Microbrute. And I'll also show you the same sort of thing for the Castle 1.5. This is from Bassel Instruments. Then I'll be wanting to show you this. This is the organelle from Critter and Guitari, and I like it a lot because it's a great introduction to the coding language Pure Data. So we'll look at some Pure Data code and how the organelle can be used to control other devices. Then, along the line, interspersed between those things, I'm going to have a series of short videos about this, my favorite synthesizer, the No Coast from the company Make Noise. I look forward to sharing all of this with you. If this is the type of thing that you like, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot. I'll see you soon.